Let's talk about Needi VT, also known as Juliet on Twitch. If you're not in the VTuber sphere, you might not know who she is, but a quick rundown is, she's a large creator that had over 32k on Twitter and had almost 12k on Twitch, as well as being a Twitch partner. She recently exploded in popularity, going from about 30 CCV to almost 300 in a matter of months, largely due to our very successful Twitter account doing a lot of raffles, giveaways, and other similar things, as well as being a VTuber model rigger herself. Sounds great, right? Well, here's the kicker. Not even all of it was real. She screwed over people that were desperate, flipped model, ignored TOS of many artists she worked with, and was an overall pretty shitty person all around. This video will show you the real face of Greedi VT. So, it's obviously not a thing that happened overnight. She'd been doing that for a bit already, it just wasn't known at that point, largely due to the fact that people were scared of going up against her, as going against a large, popular, and at the time well-liked creator is a good recipe to receive a large amount of hatred and harassment, so most of them decided to stay quiet. But recently, Ketsny, since rebranded as Mau Mau, came out to denounce Needi for what she had done. She bought a model from her for $2,000 and resold it at $4,000. She literally doubled the price. And she justified it by saying that the original asking price was $4,000. But you know why it was 2 instead? Because the artist was desperate to pay their medical bills and had to accept Needi's offer of only half the asking price. That's right, she haggled someone that could hardly refuse from 4k to 2k, only to then immediately resell it at 4k without the artist's approval. Also, she tacked on an additional $1,000 rigging fee, totaling $5,000. But boy oh boy, if it were only that. This is already a pretty shitty thing to do, but that's far from the only thing that came to light. In fact, there are so many things, and probably a bunch I missed too, that you probably don't want to watch an hour-long video about this, so let's just get to it. Multiple instances of her flipping models, buying lower, and then reselling higher, going against TOS or the original seller's wish. And she admitted so herself, including lying about the price originally paid so she can pretend that she did not profit off it. And even worse, selling adopts she had been given for free, and even for significantly more than the original price they had been bought for, to the tune of several hundreds of dollars. She also pressured clients to pay her faster by pitting them against each other. And even though the first client had already paid 2 out of the $5,000 of the payment plan to her, another person paid the full $5,000 upfront months later, and the first client subsequently lost the model even though they had already paid a large sum and had agreed to a payment plan. What about the giveaway then? She also didn't even always follow through with her giveaways, with her 20k giveaway having never received her model after months of waiting, while she also held a 30k giveaway. And what about the 30k giveaway? Well, now the winner isn't even sure if they want to keep it, as any involvement with Needi is toxic, indirectly harming smaller creators that had nothing to do with it. And since now a lot of her clients now want nothing to do with her, it's also putting at risk their debut plan and follower on social too. And since she was a rigger herself, and bought a lot of models to rig and resell, a lot of people have her name on them. So, generous community members have offered to re-rig the models for free. Check them out. And even though she's a rigger herself, she has absolutely no shame bashing their own rigger live on stream in front of hundreds.
This face rigging was so much better than, I don't know what Jupiter was doing. You see this rigging? Look at that fluff. And now look at this. Look how boring that is. The rigging. Like, come on. My mouth barely moves. My skirt barely has any physics to it. It barely moves. The shadow on my head doesn't move. I think that this one just looks so much better rigging-wise, and it makes me miss this model so much. Sadly, I do not own this model anymore. I sold it. Also, one thing I really hated, though, was the lean is really disappointing. That is not a lean to me. I'm not trying to shit on Jupiter. I don't mean to do that, so please don't think that I'm doing that. I don't mean to do that.
Oh, and by the way, she's using her old previous model there to show it, which she isn't allowed to since she sold it to someone else. Oh, and even better, also directly calling for the people that called her out to be attacked.
And I'm just so bumfuzzled. Why I'm getting attacked and not the original owner who sold it to me? Why is she not being attacked? Why is she being quote retweeted and taken up for, and I'm being quote retweeted and called a bitch and a cunt? It doesn't make sense to me. She sold it to me. How am I in the wrong? How am I in the wrong?
And yeah, she's a rigger, and she also has a $100 rigging class. But did you know it's not even complete? That's right, charging $100 for an incomplete rigging class, which was not even mentioned on the purchase page at the time. If you're looking for rigging tutorials, don't pay for them. There are plenty of great free resources given by other riggers, so here are some resources to look at. Oh, and we're not done yet either. She has multiple times asked for contribution towards her Korean trip. Is she going to Korea? Nope. She's supposedly bringing her Korean boyfriend to her. At this point, it's not even clear if that's to her, considering how much she's been lying, but who knows? She directly implies a trip to Korea, which is not even remotely true, and that is yet another deceptive, shitty thing she did. Now, what's the aftermath of all of this? She's graduating. Or not. She says she is, but she really isn't, because she will continue streaming. She's just stepping other social medias. And now, she's asking nothing less than $10,000 for model art and others, claiming that she had permission for everything included by all their respective artists, which was then immediately proven to be a lie by one of said artists. It's beyond me who would want to buy this toxic wasteland and for nothing less than 10 grand too. I don't know how anyone still defends her and think that her behavior was fine. I can understand someone making a mistake, but these things happen over months. This wasn't a single human mistake. It's a repeated behavior. It's a pattern of being a shitty, manipulative, deceitful, and lying person that cares more about lining their pocket than anything else. She also has apologized on her Twitter, but even that reeks of manipulation, and she cries cancel culture and that people are lying about her, even though there's plenty proof. I won't go in full details of how manipulative and deceitful her apology is, but Lightbulb here did a pretty good breakdown, which we'll have a quick look at. First off, we have victimization and emotional appeal, by saying that she is being witch-hunted, harassed, cancel cultured, and trying to garner sympathy for herself. Furthermore, by saying that she spends every dime she makes to give others. Then, tries to avoid responsibility and blaming others for her own actions. Then, guilt-tripping people, asking her to be accountable for what she did by painting them as unreasonable, and again, bringing up her giveaways to shield herself from criticism. Gaslighting and minimizing everything she's done, pretending it was a minor thing, that things are handled even though there are still things coming up, to pretend that any further criticism is untrue or unjustified. mass blocking anyone that doesn't agree with her, and trying to force people to DM her instead, so less new things come to light. And then saying that people are spreading lies about her, trying to muddy the waters for anything further again. Don't be mistaken, Greedi VT is rotten to the core. Now she's just cashing out and pretending to leave. But it's most likely just going to be a rebrand in the future and probably trying to keep and profit from her Twitch numbers and Twitch partner status while trying to dodge any accountability. There's probably much more to it than that. I haven't covered anything, there's more stuff, but honestly, if this is not proof enough for you, nothing will be. And with that said, maybe see you next time. Bye!